My heritage derives from the sub-region of Asia called South Asia, which is popularly known as India. Even in my end of school yearbook, it had me down as the future Prince of India. This begs the question, am I Indian?
Who am I? Where do I belong? What if everything I've been told is a lie? Maybe I am Indian.
Yep, you guessed it, I'm not Indian. My family come from a small island which is pretty close to India. Its name is Sri Lanka. Yes, it is close, but have you ever called a Scottish person English? It doesn't go down that well. All hell will break loose. It's important to understand that this sub-region of Asia, South Asia, has a lot of different countries in it, which comes with their own food, their own culture, own religions, own traditions, and they are separate from each other. They should be celebrated individually. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, India are just some to name a few. They shouldn't be pigeonholed all into India. There's nothing wrong with being called Indian, but it's just not politically correct. It's not geographically correct. It's just not correct. This does, however, raise an interesting question. Are South Asians well represented in Western media? This is something that has been tossing and turning in my mind for a few years now. Growing up in a predominantly middle-class white area, I was a little bit embarrassed about my heritage. We weren't exactly represented in a good light. The stereotypical view of being South Asian is that we're dirty, we don't smell very nice, and we eat curry every single day. Breakfast, lunch and dinner. Don't ask me what I had for dinner. It did feel like I was a little bit different. It was truly difficult to find people that looked like me around the city, in advertising and on our TV screens too. There seemed to be a common theme. South Asians were portrayed through Indian characters, through stereotypes and being the brunt of a joke. Two that springs to mind automatically are Apu from The Simpsons, who is a convenience store shopkeeper with numerous amounts of children, and Raj from The Big Bang Theory, a socially awkward geek that just can't speak to women. He actually just goes dead silent, just completely silent. Although I don't mind these jokes and I do find them funny, I think there needs to be a balance in the Western media because we are just the brunt of the joke. There is no protagonist, there's no strong characters. So I feel if we do something like that, there needs to be a balance where the South Asians are represented in many different ways, not just being the brunt of the joke. What we watch equates to reality too, and it changes people's minds, it changes their perception, it floods them with information. But there's nothing really celebrating our culture out there. On top of this, to add to the humour, they slap on a thick Indian accent. So let's ask the questions, where are the South Asian protagonists? Where are the South Asian footballers? Where are the South Asian pop stars? There doesn't seem to be many. You could probably name a couple, but on the grand spectrum, there really isn't enough. We do have a rise of South Asian politicians, but they're not really doing us justice, they're not really representing us in a good light. The culture that comes through with us isn't really celebrated through them. So by no means are they a representation for the rest of us, no way. Imagine all of this from a female perspective too. A South Asian woman, a South Asian girl, who are they gonna look up to? Who are they gonna get motivation from and inspiration from? Because there's really not enough characters that represent South Asian women too, as main leads, as having leading roles. What does this mean for the South Asian children in general, who are looking for role models, looking at people to see what they can become and paving them a way to become their greatest self? For the kids who really dare to dream, it looks like the odds are stacked against them. And to be honest, talent doesn't equate to gender or race, it just doesn't. So I do not believe that South Asians can't get to that big stage and can't pave a way for themselves like everyone else has. Everyone has talent. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what gender you are, everyone has talent. And the fact that we're not seeing their full potential, we don't see South Asian talent being produced as much as other races, I think is a real big problem that needs to be looked at. Studies show that after Caucasians, the next highest population in terms of ethnicity living in London are South Asians. Nonetheless, when I was living in London, waiting for the tube, going shopping and gallivanting around the city, I just saw that there wasn't much representation of South Asians around the city. When you go into shops, the models, the posters are normally Caucasians, people of African and Caribbean descent. You even get Southeast Asians too. But South Asians don't really get a chance. When you're looking at advertising around the city, there's still not that much representation of South Asians. This is ridiculous seeing as they're the second highest ethnic demographic living in London. It doesn't really make sense. They should be a part of the community and what it means to be British, what it means to be from London. So what does this mean? Why aren't we being represented? Are we deemed as unattractive? Or are we just looked down upon by society? I don't really have the answers. I don't think I will get the answers. It's an interesting question to investigate. It would be lovely to be seen as a part of British society, as the South Asian diaspora have a lot to offer and contribute to the British community a lot. They're hardworking people, most of them. You get bums in every in every ethnic group. Our ancestors have brought things like food, art, philosophy, and health enhancing habits like yoga, which are all widely used by the British public. I do occasionally see South Asians being represented. It's not like there's nothing, but once in a blue moon, it does pop up in my vision and I see it in the city and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, you did it. You made it. You did it for all of us. It's so nice seeing a reflection of yourself in society because it does make you feel part of community. It does feel like you're treasured as an ethnic group when it's so scarce normally and you just find it. It's a nice feeling. When you look at Marvel movies too, and Marvel done a great job of celebrating culture, celebrating countries, really expanding their diversity through their films. That's something that's amazing. You had Black Panther that celebrates African culture. You had Shang-Chi, which celebrated Chinese culture, East Asian culture, but there seems to be South Asians missing again from that category. There was a release of Miss Marvel, which is fantastic, which is a step in the right direction. Miss Marvel is a TV series. They basically have pretty much a South Asian cast, which is amazing, but it's still not a blockbuster film. And the anticipation of Marvel films is massive. It's absolutely massive. Having it as a TV series, it kind of went under the radar, but I'm happy that it has been released. Maybe I'm being greedy, maybe you can't jump from here to here. I still think that having it as a blockbuster film will gain more traction and get more people in to celebrate South Asian culture. It's amazing that they have a female lead too. Never Have I Ever has a female lead too, which is on Netflix. I don't watch it. It's not my cup of tea, but it's good that it's out there and young South Asian girls can relate to it. But again, scarce, not much out there. That's the only thing I can think of really. But in terms of films, you rarely see a South Asian as the protagonist, as the main character, as the strong, empowering leader of a film. It's kind of sad because it would be nice to connect to a character that way. I know it would reach the hearts of many Western South Asians who have been born in this country. I've got a British passport, I was born here, but it seems like we don't really get those kind of characters. When we have main characters, there's something like Slumdog Millionaire, it's Life of Pi, a Western South Asian character as a main character, that would be great. I'm saying all of this, but it's not all doom and gloom. For example, recently we had Zidane Iqbal in 2021. He made his first Champions League debut. He was the first South Asian to play in the Champions League. That's crazy. How long has the Champions League been around for? It's not the biggest thing. He came on as a substitute. He played like 2 minutes. But that opens the door for other people to go through. That threshold has been broken through and now other thresholds can be broken now. We have TV personalities like Ramesh Ranganathan, who is killing it, and he's using his limelight, he's using his spotlight very well and really using it as something positive. He's done a lot with showing people Sri Lanka. He's from Sri Lanka like me, and he's done a series about going to Sri Lanka and really showing people what the culture is about, and we need more of this. We need more people celebrating their own culture and sharing it with the world. Having people like this shows that South Asians can reach different heights and they don't need to be dumbed down by limitation. But honestly, in 2024, it needs to be a lot better than this. I know I've mentioned a few things that are getting better, but it's not enough. This video is literally to create awareness. I don't know what the steps are to actually enforce changes, but I think if we have a space for discussion, it'll become more and more open and maybe a bit more flexible in terms of changing what is happening in these industries. Don't just listen to me, go out to the city, go into shops, look around and see if South Asians are being represented. When you're watching your next movie, your next TV series, see if South Asians are being represented. Make your own judgment, make your own decision by yourself, and then make space for discussion if that's what you think is the right thing to do. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Share this content if you agree with what I'm saying. Please give it a like if you like the video. Comment below, subscribe if you want more content like this. I'm going to Italy next week, so I'm going to be doing some travel content. Yeah, so until then, stay blessed.